Hello, Bizarre Story friends. You are listening to The Bizarre AF, a place where we talk about the strange, the unusual, and all things bizarre AF. I'm Alesha, your hostess for today's episode, and as always, we ask that you keep an open mind, keep a skeptical ear, but keep on listening to those facts as we take you on our newest journey, death, Tudor style. Tally ho, my co-host with the most, Kevin. How are you, my lad?
I'm doing great, my love.
Oh, you're Scottish.
I'm Scottish or Irish. I'm Irish.
Oh, I'm Irish. Okay.
Irish elf.
Luck of the Irish right now, huh? Oh, gosh. It's so good to see you.
You too. We get to dress up again, which I love her costume so much.
It's the best part of us being fucking nerds is like doing the doing the costumes. But you know what I'm even more stoked about?
Tell me.
We are lucky to actually have a real lady in our midst.
Yeah?
Yes. Introduction, the host of Fluently Forward, Shannon McNamara.
No, great heavens. I'm bestowed to be here.
We are so thankful.
Pleasure.
An absolute pleasure.
Welcome, Shannon.
Yes, welcome. Thank you so much.
I'm so psyched to be on here. Your podcast I've been listening to it constantly for the past couple of weeks. You guys taught me how to say voodoo correctly, Vodou.
Oh, Vodou.
Vodou.
Yeah, that was something I didn't know. I love it. I love it all.
Well, I'm a floozy. Yeah, thank you for listening. I'm a fellow floozy.
Oh, there we go.
Which are Shannon's ladies, right?
You guys have to have a name, like the Bizarre Heads or something.
Yeah, we'll think
the Bizarre.
Oh, we can do votes.
Yeah.
Send us your votes.
Yeah. Even if it's
what
an asshole name.
What do you want to call yourself?
You know, motherfuckers. I'm just stoked to be here and to have you here with us drinking some
cheers. Some kava.
Kava. And fucking being nerds.
Cheers.
So
tell us something weird, Alesha.
I'm happy to tell you something weird.
Okay.
We have our beverages in hand. Gonna get weird. King Henry VIII.
King Henry VIII. Not
what
the 7th, 6th, or 5th, or 4th.
No, or 3rd, or 2nd, or 1st.
9th?
Not the 9th.
Okay, not the 9th.
The 8th specifically.
What do you guys think of when you first
I think of a song.
Yes.
Henry VIII, I am. That's about all I know.
I love that.
I think of someone who gets around town. I think of someone who would have used Tinder today.
Yes.
I think of someone who liked to spread it around and get that seed out there.
I mean, he definitely did that.
Plant that seed. Yeah.
He wanted to plant the seed for sure. His wives are another popular thing that people think of. So he was the King of England, and he was well known for those 6 wives. That there's a Broadway show right now that's going on called Six, the musical.
Okay. About the
and
6.
it's just the 6 women, his wives. So each one have it's kind of like Hamilton, honestly. Okay, I don't mind the music of it, but I also
heard the
feel
music of this musical?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm that person.
Yes, we know.
I can't believe you even asked that question.
Yeah, right.
So I've listened to it, but it feels kind of like Hamilton. Here's hot take.
Okay.
6 is just riding on the coattails of Hamilton. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
But it's not the coattails, it's the tampon string. Because it's women only, Yeah.
Totally on the tampon string.
Yeah. I like to ride on a tampon string sometimes.
Why not?
It gets you places.
So he had 6 wives. First wife, was with another woman, right? He liked to get it out there, so to say.
And he's married to them all at the same time, right?
No.
Oh. So
just
marries
one at a
divorces,
time.
marries divorces.
Yes,
Okay.
because he is a good Christian boy.
Sure.
Or a Catholic boy at this point.
Got it.
He ends up going to the Pope and saying, hey, I need to get my relationship or my marriage annulled.
This is
Can't
the
get
sixth
divorced.
time?
The first
time. Okay.
He's married to his first wife.
Okay, got it.
The Pope says nope, and they end up...
I think that needs to be a
I just love
t-shirt.
that. It does. Pope says nope. And it led to the English Reformation. So the English Reformation is where King Henry changed the religion of England.
In order to get a divorce.
To get a divorce. So they became Protestant. He creates the Church of England, which he is the head of.
Sure.
Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
So the real question is, how good was it
The
to
poontang.
the poontang
Yeah.
to drop an entire religion?
I've never had sex that good before.
Yeah,
But I'm
not
sure
had
it's out
good
there.
sex,
Yeah.
but to do all of that?
Yeah. Have you ever had sex so good it makes you want to like form an LLC? This is like one step above it. It's like, oh, fuck, like, build a church. You know? Like, yeah.
Never.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not
Let's
yet.
hope one day we all experience, you know?
Knocking on wood.
Yeah, sex so good you want to build a library, damn it.
Right. Good for him.
Well, so that's what had ended up happening. And Henry, the images of him, we always think of, you see the older versions of Henry when he was a king for a while. But he was before that, he was an avid outdoorsman. He loved hunting. He loved playing tennis. He loved jousting, being on a horse.
It's kind of giving Robert Baratheon from Game of Thrones, like he was this strapping warrior, but then he became king and he kind of just started drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I never watched the show.
No, I'm king of neither.
Oh, okay.
No, but that is my perception.
That's exactly what I would think.
Yeah, but
that's exactly
trust
right.
me, it's accurate. Now that you told me that, I'm going to like slip in fake characters. I'll be like, oh, it's totally like Queen Turlylurn,
I
Oh my
love
gosh.
Turley Lane.
She's the best with her mice.
Yeah, she had all these mice as like
Magical mice? Yeah.
I would fucking believe it for sure. Okay. So he was an avid outdoorsman, but the depictions of him today, we see more of a rotund guy. He, a nice way to say is jolly, but really, he was not
Santa
happy.
Claus shape, you mean?
Yes, Santa Claus shape.
Yeah.
He was more rotund and not the original Henry that he was at the beginning of his reign. So in January,
Typical hot king that you
the
think
hot,
of.
and he was. That's exactly very charismatic. Very would bring people. His speeches were known to be just amazing. He was a great king. Everyone loved him. Before January of 1536. January 1536.
He's risen again in the 1900s.
In the 1900s. Henry's back. So in January of 1536, he was knocked off of his horse with a lance blow. The horse actually fell on top of Henry, and he was unconscious for hours. Now, this was a massive jousting accident that his inner circle were like, he's never going to recover. He's going to die. But like the saying, the good die young, he recovered. So he had severe head trauma and he was knocked unconscious for hours. I honestly, who really knows, because in our circles, we'll keep this information pretty secret, but at least he was knocked out for a few hours. That's what they're willing to say.
Okay.
But what happens to personalities with severe head trauma?
Right.
They do like a 180. And it's always usually for the angrier. It's never like, oh, I had like a head wound and now I like give to charity all the time. Like now I tell stand-up jokes. It's always like I became an asshole, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. I'm going to sit here and eat and be a dick.
Yeah.
It's always an asshole. So you guys are right. It's medical professionals today who look at his case file say that his personality changed because of that head trauma, and that is why the tyranny that he is often associated with his subjects as well as his wives occurred was because of that. So in addition to this head injury, Henry also suffered injuries to his leg, and this would result in open ulcers that were formed on his leg for the rest of his life. So back during that day, they used to think a healing wound was bad. So in order to have something heal properly, you wanted it to have like open air, and you would constantly like cut open the wound.
Shut up.
Yeah. So he had like these like bulging like bandages and stuff.
Isn't that crazy? Like how they thought that back then? Because like when it heals, like it heals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the ideas people, even with like leeches, like sucking out the bad blood, like it's just so strange.
It's so barbaric. Yeah.
It's bizarre AF.
It is bizarre AF.
Yeah.
Well, and so this was also the time, like you said, leeches. Also the time of bloodletting. And bloodletting was where they would release blood thinking it was poisoned and trying to create like, oh, once we let all this bad blood, the good blood's gonna come in.
Which like I kind of do get that. Like I know it's
Like
stupid.
if you didn't know anything,
But
like
like back
you would
then,
think that.
I totally would have been like a believer. I'd be like, makes sense, you know? Yeah.
I mean, I do see that like maybe, but also these people were so sick and it just kind of made them more complacent because they're all anemic and right?
Exactly.
It's like, oh no, this is healing. They're being healed. So
It's like, by the way, do you ever get those ads on TikTok where they're like, you have too much like poop in your system, so you need to take these vitamins that like do a colon cleanse, because like one day they're going to look back on that and be like, no, like poop is in your system until like, you can never be fully poopless, you know? Like
you can't not have
so
poop.
we still kind of do these things to this day.
I mean, that's really true. Have you guys ever done like a super dieter's tea?
No.
No, I've heard though that like you did it.
Does that just flush you out?
Oh my God.
He's just like, I'm doing it right now. Chamber pot under this chair.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would have to have something here at the moment, and it would not be comfortable. I thought I was dying. I'm not even kidding. I honestly thought I was dying when I took it. I was like, oh,
Wow.
yeah, sure, I'll try this super dieter's tea. It's a tea that you drink. It has some kind of herbal like
Yeah.
mix that just.
Is this an ad? You're like, and we have a code.
Do Bizarre AF when you're checking out of
Yeah.
It is not pleasant. It hurts your stomach. My mom actually once played a trick on someone on a road trip and gave them super dieters tea.
No.
I think that's one of the
On a
worst.
road trip?
Yes. You had to drive like 7 hours.
Well, no, you're punishing yourself because now you have to be in the car with that poor
No,
person.
she was not in the car with them. Can you say sadistic?
Awful.
Yeah. So awful. Anyway, digressing.
I digress.
Yeah.
So bloodletting. So he had always had these sores on his legs, and over the next 10 years, they were never healed because they're constantly being opened up by his physicians saying this is what we need to do for the rest of your life. He would actually survive more than one occasion where infection from these wounds risked his life. And they said...
I believe it.
Yes. Yeah.
Cutting yourself back open, getting infected. It's not like they had antibiotics.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Right.
It's awful. So that jousting accident really affected his whole life, and he was unable to be active after his injury. And this is something else that we see with former athletes, right? Like, so who are unable to be active but have always been active, their appetites don't change. So they're so used to being active. Now they're sedentary, but they're still consuming all of these calories,
They're not
right?
burning them, yeah.
And this motherfucker loved rich foods, loved them. So much so his waist was 54 inches wide. That's pretty big for a waist.
Pretty big.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Like short king, big boy.
Yeah.
And then actually 400 pounds, they were believing that he was about 400 pounds, like towards the end of his life. I saw years ago when I went to England, like some of his armor, like in the later stage of his life.
Oh my God.
And it was like...
It's like when they put Shrek in armor to like rescue Fiona. It's like, woo.
It was like, well, it was all made for, but yes,
Yeah.
it was all made for him. And like, you saw it like tapered out for this huge stomach.
Oh my God, they also did that with Robert Baratheon. I'll send you guys a clip. Trust me.
I believe you.
Guys, yeah.
Even though I'm a little skeptical because
they
of
had
the
to use
mice.
like the breastplate stretcher or something. So maybe they used that for King Henry too. Maybe he was based off of him. Who
Actually,
knows?
he probably was.
Yeah.
Because didn't he base a lot of his characters? I think he did off of like the Tudors and like a lot of those kingdoms.
Yeah.
So probably.
There we go.
Interesting. So over time, there were lots of measures that were introduced into to account for his failing health. They had wheelchairs, like towards the end of his life, that were constructed to move him around the palaces. And of course, once people start seeing the king being wheeled around, rumors start spreading.
Sure.
And things weren't
Yeah, it was
great.
dangerous back in those days to let people see you were sick, or then you start getting mutinies and
Yes. Yeah, and people will try overthrowing. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, it's not good. They had like their own version of elevators. So he would be like wenched up to upper levels in the castle. Yeah. It's like a whole team of men just like pulling him up in secret. Of course, they would do it at night so no one could see him. And those who knew him knew that he was a broken man, but and a shadow of his former self, right? He was this like attractive, really inspiring ruler that was completely fucking broken by the end of it. So a little more than a year before his death, he actually attended Parliament on Christmas Eve in 1549, and he delivered an address, and it was really him at his finest. He had a throwback to that charismatic side of him. And he was basically saying, we need to come together because there's a lot of like religious issues. So he was trying to bring his people together and say, we need to come together, be humble, and come together for England, really. So another thing that he was known to have contracted, this because we're getting close to the end of his life.
Is it gonorrhea?
Very close.
Oh, okay. I was just assuming. Oh, syphilis.
Oh, yes. That was going to be my second guess.
Syphilis. So he had syphilis because he had so many affairs. He just had 6 wives, okay? Not to mention all the affairs that he was having.
Wait, so with this pussy leg and being hoisted up to like a bedroom, he was still banging.
He was still banging.
I'm guessing it was a lot of like cowgirl.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm thinking he wasn't doing much of the work.
Yeah. He's like picking someone up against the wall in the rain. Like, no, that was pre-joust. Yeah.
Yes. Definitely not post-joust. He, and could you imagine with that, like those bandages and,
the smell.
The smell. Yes.
Maybe they were like bloodletting. They're like, this is like the bad cum, and like I have to get it out. So like we have to be doing this, Yeah.
Anything for you, sire.
So he had syphilis. He had smallpox, right? And they think that he suffered a series of strokes because of his diabetes and his blood pressure.
Damn.
So this guy was
jacked.
He was so jacked. And then on top of that, he loves rich foods. He's fat. He has gout.
It's actually kind of crazy that like he didn't just die. Because back then, it's not like they could put you on these antibiotics or like these blood thinners. Like he was just white knuckling it through like 9 different chronic conditions.
Yeah. And you'd wonder.
Fucking
miserable.
Like, what?
How do you have the energy to deal with that?
No.
Right?
I think
I have a cold and I'm like, stay away from me.
I just want to lay in bed.
It's like eating a cherry pie and getting his dick sucked. He's like, everything's fine. Like,
fetch me some more wine. Just pour it right into my gullet. Like, what the fuck? So his last days were said to have been horrendous. He wasn't even able to speak. Like, he couldn't speak at all. And he was bedridden, of course. The stench from his rotting flesh.
Holy hell.
Because we still have that infected leg that has never not been infected for years.
Right, because they keep cutting it open.
Letting everything out. They said that it was so bad, people would get sick from the smell. So they had to burn, like, okay, how do you cover up a smell? Today, we have Febreze. We have Poopery. We have, different things to cover it up. What do they have then?
That traps the odors. It doesn't mask them.
That's right.
Like herbs, dried herbs.
Herbs, that's a great guess. Do you have any guesses?
Incense?
Incense. Incense, and it was like fucking rocks and shit were the incense.
Yeah.
And of course they probably had like poultices, like herb, like salve mixes on his rotting flesh, but it was this like heavy air of
stank
and fucking incense.
It's like smelling, it's like when you go take a shit and you spray the flower spray and it's like, now it just smells like flowery shit. It's so gross.
That's why I think you're supposed to always have matches in the bathroom.
Yes.
But then also it's like, well, now everyone knows I took a shit because it smells like match. There's really no good. Yeah.
But the Poopery you're supposed to spray into the water.
To
before.
Yes.
Yeah. I love how we all know this. Hell yeah. Are you kidding me? I saw that commercial and I was like, I'll take a 4-pack. Thank you.
I need one for my purse. Everything.
Yes.
The world is my toilet now. Can use anyone. People are walking in, his like inner circle are gagging from the smell. It's hot. It's disgusting.
At what point don't you just kill the king and say, I'm king
Yeah,
now?
we're done.
Like,
You
he
know
can't
what? We're
do
done.
anything.
You're done.
He can't fucking talk. He's paralyzed.
So, like, they were at least pretty loyal at the end. I would be like, I give up. What's he going to do? Fire me? He can't move, So good for
true.
them. Yeah.
They really stuck by him. That's some loyalty that we all want.
Yeah. Ride or die, baby.
Ride or die. So he actually finally ends up dying on January 28th, 1547 at 55 years old. As a result, 55.
Nuts.
55. As a result of renal and liver failure.
Among other things.
Yeah. Like an entire lifetime of shit. And like normally when you hear about King Henry VIII, you just hear about his wives and you hear about how crazy he was, but you don't really hear like potentially why he was so crazy.
You hear about the pussy, not the puss.
Yes, yeah.
Not the pussy.
Not the pussy. But like, honestly, I get why. Just brushing
I'm
your
brushing
hair.
my hair while you're talking. 'Cause I'm not used to my long, luxurious hair.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that we never hear about this, or like the fact that his fucking leg smelled so bad that people would gag around it. Like that's fucking disgusting. Yeah.
He's making women gag. He's making his chambermaids gag. Everyone's gagging around him.
Well, and he really was trying to stay alive for a while because there was huge questions in who's going to take over the throne.
Oh yeah, did he have a son?
So that's why he had also so many wives. He kept on trying for a son, and like I think that one of his wives had a son that was stillbirth, but he had daughters. He had Elizabeth.
Well, that just won't do.
Yes, a woman could never be a ruler.
No, never.
So he has this son, but the son has always been known to like kind of be in ill health. And because of that, he's like, well, let me wait until he's a little bit stronger to like pass the throne on. He ends up getting the throne when he's a child. And they don't really know exactly what he had, but he definitely had some kind of like pneumonia or something that was never really went away. And he ends up dying, leaving his sisters up to get the throne. He says who he wants to get the throne. That's not very interesting. Who ends up getting the throne is Queen Elizabeth I. So that's Henry's daughter. It's actually Anne Boleyn and King Henry. Their union is Queen Elizabeth I. What do you guys know about her?
God, nothing.
I don't think I do either.
You guys don't know anything?
No, terrible history in that.
I'll give you a brief overview.
Okay. Super synopsis, like Cliff Notes.
Yes, super synopsis. So she was one of the longest reigning monarchs. Spoiler alert, longest reigning monarch aside from the Queen Elizabeth of yesteryear, just died. But she was around when the Shakespearean like revival, they call it the Elizabethan period. She was very into building up the armada, like the Navy, the English Navy. She also, and she was working with Spain quite a bit. They were kind of lots of art. Shakespeare was huge. She was huge into fashion and beauty. And really a nickname that she had was the Virgin Queen. Oh. Yeah, which is interesting. But I kind of wanted...
Sorry, random question real quick.
Let's ask it. Yeah.
How old was she when her dad died? Do you know?
I want to say she was like 18, 19. She wasn't super... She was like in her late teens to early 20s.
And since he didn't have a son, they're like...
He did have a son.
It. Oh.
The son took the throne.
Oh.
And the son died.
Oh, okay.
There was a vacuum. And so she ended up with her people, ended up taking the throne. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did she look like? Was she pretty?
She was known to be beautiful. She had red hair, like super red hair.
I feel like there have been shows that have portrayed her just like that.
I know that like there was the show The Tudors, and I know oh my God, she plays Marjorie Tyrrell. Natalie Dormer was in it, but I don't know who she plays. I just imagine everyone to be beautiful.
I know.
With like low cut cleavage dresses and velvet in all the right places.
The boobies up.
Yeah.
Well, and she was really the person to like set the standard for fashion. So like when you think of during that time, people like would shave their eyebrows, right? So she really didn't have much eyebrows. She was like super redhead.
Classic ginger, yeah.
Yes, classic ginger. And she would like really pale out her skin, like super, like you guys, super white.
Yeah. She was white.
Yeah. She was an elf. She was elven, yeah.
I feel like I have now seen Queen Elizabeth almost, although maybe I'm thinking of like the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland, but I'm
like
thinking
they're all powdered and white,
of powder white face with like red coiffed up hair and like a big dress. Yeah.
That is totally the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with what is her name?
Charlie
the Queen of Hearts.
The woman who plays
Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
That is very similar to
Tim
what
Burton-esque type of energy.
But that's very similar to what her style was, and she was really setting the stage. She also had smallpox, which a lot of people got, and in any pictures that you see of her, you don't see smallpox, of course, right?
Yeah.
Like you won't see it on Queen Elizabeth I. She would cover up her smallpox scars that were all over her body, but really over her face with this really pasty white, toxic paint. Gross. It was lead and mercury that she mixed in with it.
Oh my God.
Applying it directly to her face.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it was, of course, that's deadly, right?
Yes.
So she was, because she was insecure, she also did like another solution, which was applying it here all over her neck. She did white lead and vinegar.
Was she not getting sick?
No, she was sick all the time.
Oh, and they're not like putting two and two together. Like, stop putting lead on your
Think
body.
about it. At every turn, there was like a fucking new, like, a new plague's gonna happen. So it's like everyone's like at such a low standard health-wise that it's like, I'm sure they were fucking eating lead. I'm sure that there was so much.
Random fact, off topic, lead, that they would create lead containers, put liquids, I can't remember what liquids they were, but the lead would sweeten the whatever the mixture is, and I can't remember what it was, but that's how they would sweeten things.
Ew.
With lead containers.
See? That's the thing.
So they're drinking lead, they're putting lead on their face. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, like you just don't know, right? At that time, you don't know that these things.
That's right.
So when she would apply this makeup, it was done. It was like she had an entire, her get ready with me like videos would be like so long, and she had like an entire
her TikTok videos just were so long.
Get ready with me while I put on this lead-based white paint. Don't worry, that premature aging isn't because of it. So she would hold this like pasty white shit on her face for an entire week. So she slept in it. She would never take it off. She wouldn't clean it or anything for a week. And that adds to premature aging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, your skin can't breathe, first of all.
Well, at least she had on like sunblock because she's a ginger. So it's like totally covered, you know?
Burned at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. She was very, very, very pale. Very pale. So she, let's see. She actually would leave it on, and then when she would wash her face, it was so aggravated and like, you know, think of that, pink and red, and like you're basically scrubbing this shit off. It's like an abrasive, like stuff.
Probably taking a layer of your skin off. You know?
They said that it was like an inch thick of paint that she had on her face. Wow. Like that's how much she would put on. And as she got older, people would tell her, and her suitors and court folks are like, "Oh my gosh, you're the most beautiful woman," because she was so insecure about her looks. I mean, go figure. She looked really fucking old, and she had all these like holes and stuff in her face. So to wash her face, she didn't take, you know, soap and water to it. No.
No. Oh no. Here we go.
She mixed eggshells, alum, and mercury.
Alum? What is alum?
It's a what is that
like
called?
A mineral?
Yes, it's like a mineral.
Okay.
But really, mercury's the one that fucks you up the most, right?
Yeah.
Makes it into a paste and like scrubs her face with it.
What is it with their fetish with mercury? Like what the hell?
I don't know. I don't know. Like experts today say that will, like mercury, putting it on your face will eat away at your flesh.
Oh God.
Yeah,
you know what? We do have like exfoliants. Like I remember using these like Stridex pads for acne when I was like in middle school that were just breaking down the barrier of my skin. But you were like, oh, you don't want it to be oily for acne. So instead you would just like strip your skin of everything. So
we're not too far removed. We're not that much better.
I mean, we're getting a little bit better now, like, but still eggshell, like that's crazy. That eggshell back then is like the walnut scrub of today.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. It totally is. Or the apricot
seeds.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. The apricot.
Oh my gosh. I mean, so the fact that there was lead and mercury that she was using like on a weekly basis was adding to all of her issues, health issues. So they say like some of the issues, the health issues that you would have from mercury poisoning, memory loss, irritability, depression. Now these are all symptoms that she was said to have had as she was approaching death.
At what, age 30?
Yeah,
like
right.
70 actually.
Oh.
Yeah, she lives for a while.
I would never have guessed.
Yeah.
She's like putting an inch of what is in there. There's something in their genes. Because
actually maybe mercury like makes you live longer. Like
I'm
at this
just
point,
like,
like 70
now
is
I'm like
crazy.
70.
Yeah.
Even like her lip stain. She would do red on her lips. And that was with not fruits and berries, not like pink dye or something. It was cinnabar, which was a toxic mineral that contains mercury. So everywhere you could possibly see mercury.
Yeah, she was not like a Glossier girl. She was like a full beat, you know?
She was a full beat all the time.
Yeah.
So we'll have a picture of what they think she did look like, or closer to what she actually looked like towards the end of her death.
Should we just like imagine her uglier because like no one drew her like that, I'm sure?
Well, see, yes, exactly. No one really drew her that way, but I'll show you guys.
Yes, okay,
briefly.
I have seen pictures. They do kind of get the age in there, you know?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so she looks a little wrinkly.
Yes.
And hairstyles are, how did I know we've had some like, you know, sus hairstyles, but how did anyone think that looked good back in the day?
It was so bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. This is the old picture of her. Yeah, her eyes are kind of sunken in.
Yeah.
Also, like, that will be me in 20 years. I'm like, oh, gross. I'm like, yeah, no, I see it.
I see what that looks like. And so this is a genuine and realistic one. Once again, when you're looking at this picture, you have to know that it's probably photoshopped by the artist back then to make it look a little bit better, because he doesn't want his head cut off, because he fucking like painted a picture of her that actually is realistic. You don't see any pox scars or anything like that in there, which is something that she had a hard time with. Another thing, she loved sweets. loved them.
Relatable queen.
Yes.
Literally.
a literal relatable queen.
Yeah.
So she would eat them nonstop, causing her teeth to rot.
Of course.
Yeah.
Did she at least have like a pink butthole or something, or was like everything? It was like, actually no. She also had like bunions and like canker sores.
She had warts on her butthole, ingrown hairs and shit.
Totally.
So I had briefly like mentioned, so with her teeth, she didn't have like any teeth on like half of her face, and by the end of her life, it was so bad. Anytime she would talk quickly, people couldn't understand her because she had like basically no teeth, and like shit was just rotting. It's like black and all fucked up. So when you look at pictures of Queen Elizabeth, just imagine like meth mouth.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing.
Oh my God.
So I kind of alluded to it before, which her being called the Virgin Queen. Now, of course, she had to...
I think maybe it was not by choice after hearing all of this stuff.
I mean, like, fucking for sure. So she did... The Virgin Queen was, like, really kind of trying to create control, because what was the control that she had? Her throne. Having her throne. If she took on a husband, then he would be king. That would usurp some of her authority. So she was trying to hold on to authority. Think of like what her mom had to deal with. Her mom had to deal with a ton of shit. She was killed early. And then people tried killing Elizabeth quite a few times because she was an heir to the throne, and there were other potential heirs that were. So she was trying to withstand any kind of overthrowing her entire reign, which is why she was like, oh yeah, no, I'm the Virgin Queen. I'm untouched. I'm like this specimen with rotting fucking teeth. And do you guys actually think she was a virgin? Do you think that that's
I like to imagine
she
she was scissoring with her handmaidens, just because like I always like to imagine that. No, I'm sure she was getting doinked down.
Yeah, I think she got a doink or two.
I think so. I think that she probably did. There's kind of a fucked up thing that had happened in her childhood, which kind of makes you feel a little bit bad for Queen Elizabeth I. So she was sent to live with her father's...
Don't say uncle.
It was an uncle.
It's always like an uncle.
Yes.
Okay.
Fucking
Thomas
uncles.
Seymour. So he had married King Henry VIII's first wife, who he had gotten that annulment from.
Oh, this is, wow, sloppy second.
Yes, totally. So Thomas Seymour and believe it was Anne Parr or Catherine Parr, they had housed her while her father was still alive. They would have tickle fights.
Oh.
And she Catherine would hold her down, and then like there were times where now you're reading it today, and basically what it ended up saying was that her like dress was tattered and stuff, so he probably was like fucking raping her while she was a young child.
How did they find this? Like, did Elizabeth write it down in a diary or like confess to someone?
Well, I think it may have come out because he he was actually it was the uncle of her younger half brother. Okay, so he was executed for attempting to get Elizabeth to marry him.
Oh.
So he was trying to get, before Elizabeth took the throne, he was trying to force marriage on it. So it must have come out during that because he got executed. He was a fucking pedophile.
Yeah.
She was a child when he took her on. Also, she potentially had a pregnancy. So a man that she was very attracted to and loved, she had his chambers moved right next to hers while she was the Virgin Queen. Mm-hmm. And they later say, oh, she wasn't able to make any like events or anything because she was swelling. What does that mean? She's not swelling.
Durr.
She's not. What was that we were just talking about with the blueberry from?
Oh, like the inflation fetish,
Yeah.
where like women get like pumped up or something.
She was definitely not doing that back in the.
So she had the baby, I'm guessing.
We don't know. We don't know.
That's scandalous.
That is a total scandal.
It's giving a great scandalous.
That is a total scandal.
It's giving a great idea for an HBO spinoff. Is like what it's giving. Yeah.
Right.
So she actually ended up having potential pregnancy. As she was getting older, she was really fucking depressed, super depressed. Like there are some people in her life that were dying. Well, of course she was like 70. And she had like these bouts of melancholy where she would just like pace the floors and like not want to talk to anyone. The Earl of Essex, which was one of people that she had died or had died. She, during her final days, she was saying how much she, really regretted killing some people because she killed quite a bit of people, like her cousin Mary Queen of Scots. You know the story, Mary Queen of Scots. So Elizabeth killed her. She was also haunted by visions of her own frail body, and she had an idea that like there was a playing card with a nail through its head. It was found on her chair, and she was fucking paranoid that would mean that she was going to die soon. She had like all of these visions of her dying.
She keeps applying that white paint.
I know, she's like, more pain.
Hallucinating. Yeah.
So she had so many like emotional and physical issues that escalated so much so that she took to only standing in her like bedchamber. She would not sit down. She stood for 15 hours straight before she collapsed on the floor, and her ladies in waiting covered the whole floor and cushions. She was convinced that if she sat down or like laid down, she would die, which is why she was stood up for 15 hours straight. So she laid down and she could not talk for 4 fucking days, just laying on the ground. And then they finally moved her into the bed. They could finally actually get her to calm down. She ended up not really having a plan, but another thing that she had felt was there's this ring that she wore that signified her chastity and her like marriage to the country, like her virginal queen's stuff. She believed that if she removed that ring, she would die. Like she was going to die. So she never removed the fucking ring, and like skin grew around it and stuff. Sure enough. Yeah. Isn't that disgusting?
It's gross.
It's so gross. Yeah. She would not, because she got older and like, you know, wrinklier or whatever.
Who is the, who's in Barbie? Who stars in Barbie?
Margot Robbie.
She did a movie where she played Queen Elizabeth I, and her sister,
Queen of Scots,
was another actress. I can't remember her name. And I remember it's all starting to come back to me, like things that you're saying, like these weird behaviors and gross skin and
gross fucking skin. Like I think that you could even do a podcast just on her beauty regimen at that time because it was so fucked up. But she ends up dying on the 24th of March, 1603, and she was actually 69. I thought it was 70. 69. But
Virgin Queen my ass.
So I don't know. I think that there was something up with both of these people. They're genetically related to each other. The fact that they lived through, I mean, literally painting fucking poison on your face.
Yeah.
I mean, consuming it, having like open sores your entire fucking life. Like these people were made out of something stronger, and whatever it is, I don't care how many babies it takes me to get it, but I'm going to find it. I fucking wonder.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Imagine people, well, you wouldn't nowadays, but imagine you can't correlate the amount of pain and suffering that they tolerated.
Oh yeah.
Compared to today. I mean, you can't even, it's unfathomable.
Well, and we never talk about it, right?
Okay,
we don't
even
really
just not having heat and air conditioning in a castle, I would be on the verge. Right. And like that was their luxury, was like the castle with the cold, damp walls, and like there was no like laundry machine to give you hot towels, you know?
Right.
Like even that alone, and then like they didn't have pain meds back then.
No.
Yeah.
They had wine.
Yeah.
No.
That was like cooked in a lead basket to make it sweet.
And no Snickers to curb your hangriness.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, just all the things that it takes for granted.
Like, I'm so messed up in the head. You were like, oh, she was so sad she was pacing the halls. I'm like, why not get in bed and watch TikTok? And then I'm like, oh, right. Like, that's what you do when you're depressed back then. That's like the only thing you can do is wander the halls.
You wander ghostly apparition.
Yes. Ghostly spook around your grounds.
Unreal.
Totally. So that's kind of my Tudor death story.
That was some crazy shit, Boo.
This really makes me want to watch the Tudors, or like a YouTube video about how the Tudors are related to Game of Thrones, or all of these different stories, because I know that a lot of different like TV shows and movies have been based on this.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that movie that I was talking about with Margot Robbie?
I've seen clips of it because I was like, how did they make Margot Robbie like look like that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you should watch it.
Does she look ugly?
Well, Margot Robbie's hard to make her look ugly.
She's so beautiful.
But, you do enough to make her look off.
She's got like the powdered face, right? And like the hair up to the sky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it. Although I never watch movies, so.
You don't?
No.
What's wrong with you?
Do what I do and find a TikTok account that broke the movie down into 60 portions. And then you just scroll through and you watch all 60 portions. And you're like, I'm a film buff, literally.
I used to do it. I think I have no patience to watch a movie anymore. So I'm just going to do that. Good call.
Yeah, and they seem to be lasting longer and longer.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Shannon.
So
thank you for, oh my God.
Thanks.
Like, I just feel like every time I listen to your episodes, I get so much knowledge, but also a giggle. Like, I love everything you guys are doing. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. So tell anyone who's listening where they can find you, what you're doing, what you're up to.
The podcast I host is called Fluently Forward. We're big on TikTok, Instagram, also at Fluently Forward. And you guys are going to be on for an episode all about castration.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Conspiracy theories. And I think that'll be very fun.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you,
Shannon.
guys.
It was a pleasure.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the flip side.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.